I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS and Hot 97. I'm here with the mayor who's rocking the biggest city in the world, New York City. Nice to see you.
It is, brother. It really is, man. It really is. And it's interesting when I came in, I was talking about, your children. Just good to see them doing so well.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, our families, man.
Yeah.
That's what motivates and drive me, and being able to come in and just talk about the history. Brother, I think I've known you for about...
Yeah, well, I've seen you come up from the police department
right.
and everything in between.
Yes.
To Brooklyn Borough president, doing the concerts out there and
yes.
what's it?
Wingate Park.
Yeah.
Right. No.
And then mayor.
Right. Right. And it's a real journey, man. And, as we go into this conversation... I bump into people all the time, and it's challenging for people to understand what it is to run the largest city in America. America is the most important country on the globe, and New York is the most important city in that country.
Yeah.
And when we got elected, folks celebrated, but there was a lot of folks that were upset. Remember, it was a 30-year gap from the time Dinkins was mayor to the time I got elected. And, so not everybody was happy, and a lot of folks want to go back to those days.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who are like on this side of the fence and that side of the fence, and you have to deal with so much being the mayor. How do you deal with the stresses of it all? There's a lot of noise out there.
Yeah, it is, brother. And, like this week is Mental Health Week.
Yeah.
And so, in our community, we have to be honest. Dealing with mental health is something we don't acknowledge. My family's from Alabama.
Yeah.
And you better not come into the house talking about when I'm feeling depressed. It was like, boy, you better get out there and do what you have to do. And so we're trying to show the entire city in general that dealing with mental health is real, but specifically those communities of color that don't have access to mental health services. So we're doing some stuff like open up mental health centers in schools, something called clubhouses that we're doing in our community, expanding those where people can get community and support, dealing with those who are dealing with severe mental health.
Right.
I was just today talking on the subway system about this program called PATH, where we're in the subway system taking people and giving them care that are dealing with severe mental health. And Albany, we need help.
Yeah.
And giving folks support that don't know they need help. And, the laws are not in our favor right now, and we're trying to get that changed.
And some that do know they need help, but there's a stigma attached to it. Right. They don't want to make that move.
Yeah, it's a real stigma. And especially coming out of COVID. Folks are hurting. And when you are hurting, you hurt yourself and you hurt others.
Yeah.
And we really want to turn around all the things that are happening in the area of mental health.
So we celebrated Mental Health Week. It took place in New York City, and the administration celebrated 1 year of the Behavioral Health Blueprint while working with the New York City Health and Hospitals. Tell us more about it.
It was a clear blueprint, because I'm big on blueprints. What are the steps? If you don't have a map to show you where you're going, you're walking and running around in circles. And so we have a list of things we wanted to do to just deal with severe mental health, and we pointing them out, checking them off, opening up locations. Our young people getting what we call teen space, where young people are able to get information and help right online, because our young people use the phone.
Yeah.
So they're able to get a mental health professional to speak with them, and we're really pleased with the numbers of Black and brown young people that are really seeking these services. Thousands of them are seeking these services, and they're referring their friends and loved ones to it as well. And then we zeroed in what we want to do with street homelessness, street mental health. So it was a clear outline of all the things we wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, wow. That's big, the street homelessness, but we'll talk about that. How's the administration delivering for New Yorkers? Speaking about public safety in New York.
Right. Well, it's a combination. I'm so glad you said public safety, because I say it all the time. Public safety is the prerequisite to prosperity. Public safety and justice. I came in on that. We were seeing a substantial increase in crime in 2022 when I became the mayor. And things were just out of control. You know, dirt bikes and mopeds running up and down the block. We were dealing with the gun issues, recidivism, and so we removed over 20,800 illegal guns off our streets. I mean, that number is just unbelievable. A substantial number of them are ghost guns that people can make right in their homes. They're not traceable. And 85,000 illegal vehicles, dirt bikes, three-wheelers, cars we took off our streets and just to get that under control. Then when you looked at the subway system, a lot of people say, Eric, the subways are so dangerous. Brother, Dr. Bob, we have 4.6 million daily riders. You only have 6 felonies a day on the system. With 4.6 million people, 4.6 million people are angry, don't want to go to work, dealing with all that crisis. And so it's an amazing task how we keep people safe. 2 years in a row, decrease in subway safety. In the last 3 months, we witnessed a double-digit decrease in subway crimes, and that is why part of our overall plan of making sure the system is safe, above ground and below ground. Crime is down in NYCHA. The major crime categories are down this year as well. And so we're trending in the right direction because everything feeds off of that. Tourism. We got the 4th largest tourism in the history of the city. 65 million people came in to visit the city. That feeds into all of the success of the city.
Yeah. So a lot of people came to the city unexpectedly too.
Yes.
By bus.
Yes. Hey, listen, when you look at, normally mayors have to deal with a crisis. Bloomberg dealt with 9/11, de Blasio dealt with COVID. We had to deal with 2 crises. COVID was the first. When I came into office, COVID was everywhere. We were arguing if children were going to go back to school or not. People were wearing face masks. Businesses were closed. You walk up and down Times Square, you didn't see anyone out there. And so true. As we cycled out of COVID and turned around the city, we got hit with 230,000 migrants and asylum seekers, 230,000. And, folks were stepping to me. Eric, what you doing, man? You're giving away the city to migrants and asylum seekers, which just wasn't true, but perception is reality. People didn't know that I couldn't stop the buses from coming in. That was against federal law. I could not allow them to work. Many of those migrants and asylum seekers said, listen, we want to work. Federal law didn't allow me to do that. We were able to get some to get work authorization, but the overwhelming number of them we were not allowed to do. And then by city law, I had to give them a place to stay, 3 meals a day. We educated 40,000 children. This is all based on city law and what I'm required to do. And brother, I couldn't even allow them to volunteer. A group of migrants and asylum seekers came to me and said, listen, we will remove graffiti, we'll clean the streets, we want to give back to the city. Federal law, and we couldn't do that and give them a stipend. It was not allowed. So I had my hands were tied, and the previous administration was not willing to give us the support and assistance we needed. We needed to secure our border, make sure whoever was coming to the country during that time through the border was going to a place where they knew they had the support that they needed, and not just allowing them to run free throughout the country.
Yeah, so I say, what are some of the things that you're doing to eliminate stress? So you hitting that treadmill, you hitting the heavy bag?
Yeah, no, great.
Running
like
5 miles a day?
Let me tell you something, and stress is real. A lot of people don't realize the erosive impact of stress. Sometimes you don't see it, but it manifests itself internally. And I tell brothers all the time, we think that we are strong, we're sturdy, but no, man, that stress is real. And so I start my day the same way, meditate, do my prayers, get a healthy, smoothie, green smoothies, some blueberries, some spinach or kale, and just do my breather. I'm a big breather. I do my breathing exercises. And little did I know, I did this years ago, little did I know it prepared me for what I had to go through as mayor, you know. And I was telling the town hall yesterday, man, these last 15 months have been the hardest moments in my entire life.
15 months is like a 15-round boxing
brother,
match.
Man, there were days, man, we took
in the
everything,
ring.
Constantly. And it's one thing to be in the ring, getting hit with an opponent in front of you. I was getting hit with all sides, you know. But it was about those regiments of bringing down that stress and having a real drive. Every day I got up, man, and said, listen, I'm going to do some good stuff for New Yorkers. That was my North Star, man. That was my therapy, that when foster care children would bump into me and say, listen, I thank you for giving us a life coach until we're 26. I enrolled in college. Or we met a brother yesterday, man. This was such a powerful story at the town hall. Brother stood up, and he was the last person that we called on. Brother has 6 children, lived in a shelter with his children. And he was able to get a FEPS voucher. This is the subsidized vouchers for housing. He now has a permanent place to stay. His daughter is excelling. His baby's excelling in school. All of his children are excelling in school. He had a job in one of the drugstores. He lost his job because of the constant stealing. He was a security guard. People were stealing so much that he was fired from his job. We found him a job yesterday at the town hall. But when you hear people say that when people are stealing and shoplifting, it doesn't impact communities, it does.
It does.
He lost his job. Other folks get laid off because the store has to close. Miss Jones now must take the bus to get her medication filled. So when people are constantly stealing in these stores, it is taking away the quality of life of the residents in the community. You know?
And things are expensive, so people are probably resorting to something like that.
Right.
You know, just a couple of, about a month ago, they were talking about Lucy's. Not the Lucy's that we grew up learning about. Right. I'm talking about loose eggs. You know, you got 3 eggs in a plastic bag, $2.99. That's $1 an egg.
Isn't that something? You know,
prices went up. How is your administration working to make the city more affordable and put more money in the pockets of New Yorkers?
We this is something that's really not communicated as much as it ought to be. We put $30 billion back in the pockets of New Yorkers in creative ways. Because I don't control the price of eggs. I don't control inflation. I don't control all those things that are external. So what we did as an administration, we said, okay, what can we control? And we looked at those things that we could control to just put more money back in the pockets of New Yorkers. So we have reduced fare Metro cards for low-income New Yorkers. That brings down that daily commute cost. We have paid medical debt. We're going to be paying off billions of dollars in medical debt. That's the #1 cause of bankruptcy, medical debt. And so you get an illness unexpectedly, and all of a sudden, you got this huge medical debt for the rest of your life. We're going to be paying off that medical debt. We're also moving in Albany, to do what's called the tax for working class. If you make 150% of the federal poverty line or below, we're going to say you pay no income tax, city income tax. So if you're a mother and you're making around $35,000 a year and you have a child, you are not going to be paying any income tax. What we're doing with foster care children, we're paying their college tuition and making sure that they get a stipend as they're in school so they don't slip through the cracks. High-speed broadband for NYCHA. NYCHA residents don't pay broadband. This was important during COVID because mothers needed telemedicine and children needed to do remote learning. Right. And so you start looking at, we dropped the cost of childcare. Childcare in New York used to be $55 a week. We've dropped it to less than $5 a week. So instead of paying $220 a month for childcare, you're only paying $20 a month. That's a huge difference, brother. And so when you start to do an analysis of how we creatively went and said, how do we put money back in the pockets of New Yorkers? And we did about $30 billion in that. Some real stuff.
Yeah, and people need to know. So we have to continue to spread the word, right?
You got
go to the website.
Yes. You just all you gotta do is just Google Mayor Adams and the website comes up. You'll see the whole list of stuff we've done. And one of the things that we've done that I'm extremely proud about is around housing. You know, like the philosopher said, rent is too damn high, man. You know,
it is, and that brings me to the City of Yes. The City of Yes will enable the creation of about 80,000 new homes over the next 15 years and invest about $5 billion toward the critical infrastructure updates and housing Talk more about the City of Yes proposal.
And see, people need to understand our city is divided by community boards. Just as precincts divide up communities. Well, we have 59 community boards in our city. 10 of those community boards build and created more affordable housing than the other 49 combined. We've had the housing and affordable housing issue has been placed in a small group of a small number of neighborhoods. So what we did with City of Yes, we said, hey folks, we have a housing crisis. We have a 1.4% vacancy rate. That's just unsustainable. And when it comes down to affordable housing, it's almost functionally zero. And so what we needed to do is build more.
Yeah.
And we looked over the entire city and say every community is going to build a little more housing, all 59 of them. This is the most comprehensive housing reform in the history of the city, and it's the first time that every community has been impacted to build more housing because we have a housing crisis. For example, we will have a affordable development project in the Bronx. Let's say we have 500 units. We will have 30,000 applicants to try to fill those 500 units. That's how desperate it is. And so we know we got to build more. If our children want to stay in the city, we have to build more housing to make it accomplished. And that's what City was about. It was extremely important. But we also did City of Yes for economic opportunities, where we changed a lot of the rules that were on the book that prevented businesses from growing and thriving. So our movement has been, we have to be a city of yes and not a city of no all the time.
There you go. And what has your administration done to help black businesses thrive in New York City?
Numbers are impressive, man. We had, David Dinkins started the MWBE program 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Not a lot of life after that, but what we have been able to accomplish to get almost 33% of our procurement of goods and services to MWBEs. Historic numbers, never been done before, the largest in this country of a city of this size. And our success has been zeroing in on these small businesses because we knew part of our overall plan of dropping unemployment in the city, black unemployment was 4 times the rates of white unemployment. And when I went into the streets and talked to people on the streets in the beauty salons and the barber shops in NYCHA, they said, listen, we don't know how to go downtown and get jobs. We don't know this whole thing about resumes. And there were people that were historically unemployed for generations. So what we did with DC 37 leader Henry Garrido, we created hiring halls. We went into the hood with all of the potential employers, and we had those employers interview people right on the spot, and we were hiring them jobs right on the spot.
Right on the spot.
Right. Brother, we dropped unemployment in the black and brown community by 20%, and we dropped it across the city as well, but we zeroed in on our targeted population.
Yeah. People are getting ready to vote. What do you tell people who are on the fence and undecisive about maybe either going to the ballot box and maybe not knowing who to vote for?
Right. Well, first of all, I don't know who had that song, Where These Rumors Come From. Listen, don't believe the madness, the hype, the noise. Listen, when I got elected mayor in 2022, I'm the first working class blue collar mayor probably in the history of this city. I don't think any other mayor was a union member. Coming up from where I came from, I know what it is to have to slice that hard ass cheese that came from the city. You know what I'm saying?
I know what it is.
So my life story, living on the verge of homelessness, suffering from dyslexia, all those problems molded me and shaped me. Coming from 100 blacks in law enforcement who cared, fighting for reform in the police department, it molded and shaped me and prepared me to get here. I didn't just wake up and became the mayor.
Yeah.
This is a 40-year uninterrupted journey of fighting on behalf of people of the city. And so what I want people to do, and that's why I'm so excited about the campaign season, because this gives me an opportunity to get back out there and show people this is what I ran on. Now look at what I did. I accomplished the things that I ran on. And so everyone now that's trying to run, they want to run like they're Eric Adams. You don't need someone to run like they're Eric Adams when you got Eric Adams.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. And so we're gonna get back out there and tell people. I know people feel discouraged. I know how people feel that, well, voting doesn't matter. Yeah, well, tell that to the foster care child that now paying college tuition. Voting doesn't matter. Tell it to that NYCHA resident that now have high speed broadband, or that young man that's moving into affordable housing because we build records level of affordable housing, or that family member like Dr. Earl Adams that lost our 2 children to gun violence. We took 20,800 guns off our streets. It matters when you have a working class person that is fighting on behalf of you. So I tell people all the time, I'm you. You know, I'm your cousin. I'm your nephew. I'm that brother that you always wanted a better life for.
Yeah.
We need a person that is representative of the working class people of the city. And there's no one in this race that personifies that more than I do.
I have a camera for you.
Yes.
I want you to talk to our community. Say hello to my little friend.
That's one of the famous quotes in the movie.
That's right.
No, listen, it's good to be here. And as I was sharing with Dr. Bob Lee, it's not only what you have done, but what you have overcome. And my journey has been a journey of overcoming. Overcoming being dyslexia and called the dumb student in school. Overcoming being arrested and beat by police officers when I was a child. Mm-hmm. Overcoming having someone shoot out my car windows because of my advocacy back during those days. And overcoming the last 15 months of having these bogus charges placed on me. Overcoming COVID. Overcoming 230 migrants and asylum seekers. Overcoming. And the way I could overcame is how that brother I met yesterday out in Far Rockaway with 6 children living in a homeless shelter. He could have easily said, listen, fatherhood is not for me. I'm going to step off and leave like so many have done. But he stood there and said, I'm going to raise my 6 children. And God was there and he was able to get that voucher. Now he has a permanent housing. And yesterday we offered him a permanent job. All of you and all of us overcome something, no matter who we are. And I had to overcome that. Never complained, got up, you were my North Star, fought on behalf of you. I wore that bulletproof vest for 22 years and protected the children and families of the city. God has allowed me to become the mayor to ensure the betrayal I received as a child, you're not going to receive in this city. I want to be the mayor, but God will determine the outcome of that, and he's going to do that through your votes. I'll see you at the polling site.
There you go. And finally, looking ahead, what do you hope your legacy as mayor will be?
To opportunities, to end the betrayal. This city betrayed my mother by when she needed to provide food for her family. They gave her food that fed her diabetes. It betrayed my sister, who mommy doing 3 jobs. Sandra didn't have a childhood. Sandra had to stay home and be the mother for her 5 siblings. It betrayed me by not diagnosing my dyslexia earlier, so that I would get the services I need. And the 30% of men and women on Rikers Island have learning disabilities. They've been betrayed. It betrayed us through the violence that we saw. I want to have a legacy that we can stop the betrayal or put our city on a pathway that everyone can have an opportunity to succeed. And not everyone had that opportunity. And I'm going to do my best to make sure they do.
I'm the Dr. Bob Lee with Mayor Eric Adams for 107.5 WBLS and Hot 97. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you, brother.
All right.